Millions of people in northeastern Nigeria are at risk of dying from starvation. They depend on food aid. But ongoing attacks by militants are affecting aid groups' operations.
There has been a spread of Boko Haram across these 4 countries. We've seen people displaced, hundreds of thousands of people displaced from the border areas in Niger, Chad and Cameroon, and millions from Nigeria. This is a regional problem now. The epicenter may be northeastern Nigeria, but security-wise, economy-wise, with great humanitarian implications, it's now a very big regional challenge.
The World Food Programme describes the situation as the biggest crisis it's seen in the past 50 years. The organization is currently supporting around 1.2 million people, but it's in desperate need of more funding.
There are probably just under 2 million people who I classify in my mind as being on the edge of that cliff. And there's not much between those people and the edge of the cliff except humanitarian assistance or end of the conflict.
The WFP estimates it needs another $230 million between now and October to save children, in particular, from dying of hunger.
Usually in what we call our nutrition prevention approach, which is all children from 6 months to 23 months receive a special product and screening, and all this is put in place by WFP and UNICEF. When we saw the level of malnutrition amongst older children in northeastern Nigeria, we expanded that program for all children under 5.
Nigeria's rainy season starts this month. It's hoped the wet weather will allow farmers to plant crops to ease the burden on aid agencies. Thuli Tshabalala, CGTN.
Let's get more from CGTN's Deji Badmas, who joins us live from Lagos. Deji, that's a very grim picture painted by the UN. Has the government commented on that?
Well, not exactly. We haven't had any comment from the government, but what we have to look at is beyond the comment, what exactly has the government been doing before now? Just before President Buhari traveled abroad for his medical treatment, he actually met with the military chiefs and some heads of government agencies, and we understand the subject of that meeting was how to scale up intervention in the Northeast, actually, and how to assist some of these aid agencies to be able to access some of those difficult to access areas, especially areas where there are huge security concerns. We do not have much details now on the outcome of that meeting. We've also seen that the Nigerian government has been scaling up its intervention. I'm talking aid intervention now in the northeast of the country, which of course has been coordinated by the government of Borno State. And we're also seeing more and more individuals now, wealthy individuals in Nigeria coming and they are donating. But we also know that part of the problem, just as you have in the last line of her report there, part of the problem you have is that these people are farmers. They've not been able to farm for a very long time. And of course, now that the rainy season is starting, the hope is that they'll be able to go back to farm. But then there's still the problem of security, because most of these people are yet to be resettled to their communities now. And if that doesn't happen, it was supposed to happen this month. The government of Borno State has decided to shift it because of the frequent bombing campaigns by Boko Haram. The sooner that happens, the better, not just for Nigeria, but especially for the people of that region, because they are all farmers and they just need to go back to farming to be able to save the situation. Penina?
And talking about security, Deji, the military has been saying it significantly weakened Boko Haram. But what's the situation at these border areas with Niger and Chad? Is it really making progress?
Well, there's no question at all that the military has indeed weakened Boko Haram. We do not see Boko Haram carry out the kind of attacks it used to carry out, where it will invade a community, hoist its flags there, plant its men there, and all of that. That doesn't happen anymore. These days, what we see from Boko Haram is, hit-and-run attacks, and more frequently now, we're beginning to see suicide bombings. One just happened yesterday in that university in Maiduguri. Now, talking about those border areas, that is where the multinational joint task force is supposed to be active, but that has not been happening. Of course, we know the problems of the multinational joint task force, the problem of funding and all of that. But then there's been a change in the leadership of that task force now. The man who is actually heading the military operation now in the northeast of the country here in Nigeria has been deployed to head that multinational joint task force. So the hope is that maybe we'll see a rejuvenation now of the activities of the joint task force. But fact is that that task force in recent times has not been active, and it's supposed to be it's supposed to be monitoring and patrolling those border areas while the Nigerian military now concentrates on the activities of Boko Haram inland. Penina?
All right, Deji Badmas in Lagos, thank you for joining us.